Okay, so this is where we left off before. We had everything kind of drawn out. We had all of our images in here. So what we're going to do now is hide everything, including the background, so we have nothing. Then we're going to take our rectangle tool here at the top. Before we choose colors for things, just take a look back at some of his work, and you can see he's got some basic colors that he continues to use over and over. So we're going to try to steal that color idea from him. And to make it a little easier, I would say take one of these and click and drag and drop it in here as well. If it doesn't drop here the first time, drag it onto your desktop if you can, or just take a screenshot, Command-Shift-4, and then we're going to open up that in Photoshop as well, and we're going to bring it in to this one so we can steal the colors right from it. Take the move tool, drag it over. Okay, so I'm going to keep that over here, and we'll get rid of it later. Okay, so what do I do from here? Well, I would like to try to use some of the same kind of colors that go on in here. So I'm going to go to the rectangle tool, right over here, go up to the top, where it says fill, I'm going to click. I'm going to click this little color guide here, little picker, choose this red from here so I get that exact red. Then I'm going to go to the stroke, and I'm going to choose black for the stroke. Then going to zoom out, Command-0, I'm going to create a rectangle the exact size of this page. Then I'm going to increase the size of the stroke here from 1 pixel. I'm going to make it higher, like that. Now it's up to you how thick you would like to make yours. I'm going to leave mine at about 100 points or so. And then I'm going to click away on back down here below the background, so nothing is selected at the moment. And then what I would like to do is start by taking maybe the burst. Now the order of how you take and what you take is sort of up to you. You do not have to follow exactly what I'm doing, but it'll give you an example. So I'm going to turn on burst 2. I'm going to bring burst 2 above rectangle 1, and then we have this burst. Okay, so what do I want to do with this burst? Well, if you look back at some of his work, like this sort of thing, he doesn't really have any bursts in this one, but he does have some patterns, and you see this rip. It looks like it's happening. It's almost like wallpaper was peeled off a wall. So we're going to try to follow a little bit of that. And to do that, to make our lives a little bit easier, I'm going to go back online and find an image like this. Now you can look them up. You can look up just torn paper or paper rips, and you're going to see all these kinds of things that come up, right? Even this would be fine, or any of these torn edges would be fine. I'm going to choose this one just as an example. I'm going to hit View Image and drag this into here. So once it's in here, same thing. Command-T, make a choice. What do you want to do with this? Turn it this way, turn it that way. I'm going to keep it like this, vertically. I'm going to hold Shift and Option, just make it big. That might be too big. Yeah, too big. Make it a little smaller. That looks good. Right about there. I'm going to hit OK. Excellent, just like that. Now, I want to separate this red from the white on layer 2 here. Matter of fact, I'm going to call it Torn. So on the Torn layer, I'm going to use the Magic Wand tool, I guess. Increase the tolerance to about an 80. Select the red. I want that dark area too, this dark area. So I'm going to hold Shift and grab that dark area. So I got all of that red. I'm going to right click on it and do a layer via cut. So now this red is on its own layer. All right. So whatever you kind of cut out, you can separate yours into 2 layers. So this one would be Torn 2, and you see this one is Torn 1. 1 and 2. All right, so what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to take this burst, I'm going to put it inside Torn. So I'm going to put it right on top of Torn 2, burst 2 on top of Torn 2, go onto it, right click on that layer, create clipping mask, and you see that that burst is now inside that red area. I'm going to do Command-T to the burst, increase its size. Now, it's sort of up to you where you'd like to keep it, how you want it to look, where it's going to be placed. You could rotate it. This goes for any image that you bring in. You can resize, rotate, reposition. That is all up to you. Those are your choices. Now, if I'm on burst 2 and I made it larger, and if I change the blending mode, another option for you to change the blending mode, and then you see through it to what's behind it. Okay, so that looks pretty cool so far. What I'm going to do is hide these for a moment, go down to the fist turn the fist on, you'll notice that when I turn the fist on, the fist has a little bit of white still with it. So what I want to do is take the magic wand tool, select the white from here. I can do right click and similar, and then hit delete. I'm going to do Command D to get rid of that selection. Now what I want to do is take the selection tool, rectangular marquee tool, click and make a box around the fist, just like that. Not too big, just enough to fit it in there. And then I'm going to go to Edit and Define Pattern. And I'm going to call this one Fist 1. Now, all that did is it put the fist as a pattern into Photoshop's memory, basically. So if I hide the fist here, do Command 0 so you can see the whole thing. I'm going to go to the bottom right now. I'm going to click on this little black and white cookie, right? This is our Create New Filler Adjustment layer. And I'm going to go to Pattern. And look what comes up. The pattern of the fists. And you can decide the scale of it. How many, how large, if you can see them. Too big, too small, that's kind of up to you. I'm going to keep mine at about a 56, 60 or so. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so what do I want to do with this? Well, if I bring this up, let's say above the torn, and I turn everything else back on that we had so far, you see how the pattern now shows itself inside the torn? This little arrow tells you it's been clipped inside the red torn little area. And I think that looks real nice. This top one that was set at darken, I could have chose something else. I could have chose screen. I could have chose any of the many options that we have here. So you can kind of go through and choose what you would like. I'm going to leave it right now at overlay, but we could always change it again later. Then I'm going to hide everything. I'm going to go to the, let's see, I'm going to go to the gun here, click on the gun layer, do the exact same thing, create a box around it, Edit, Define Pattern, call it Gun 1, Command D to deselect, hide that layer. Matter of fact, I could get rid of that layer and the fist one if I wanted to, but I'll leave them for now. I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm going to create a pattern layer again, this time with the guns. I'm going to bring down the scale of this. Again, sort of up to you, maybe 25 or so, 20. Oops. Something like that might work, sort of up to you. What I like to do with this one is right click on it and rasterize it. What that means is I can't change the size of the pattern anymore, but what I can do is Command T, I'll do Command minus to zoom out a little, hold Shift and Option, I can pull from the corner, I could also rotate. Not only can I rotate, but I could right click and do some warps if I wanted to. I could pull and twist and turn and really make it the way I want, or I could use some of these custom warps up top like bulge. Make it look like it's kind of coming at us a little bit. All right, I'm going to hit Enter to OK that one. Okay, that all looks good. I'm going to turn everything else back on. Now, I want to take some shapes now and create some shapes using the rectangle tool or any of the other tools that you'd like. There are custom shapes with a bunch of shapes up here that you could use, but I'm going to just choose the basic rectangle tool. I'm going to hide all these other layers for a moment, click away from them. I'm going to choose a fill color that kind of matches what's going on here. Now if I turn on layer 1, I can see those colors from before. So what I'm going to do is zoom in onto it so I can see it. I'm going to click on the fill color, choose this so I can choose a color, and I'm going to choose this kind of yellow and hit OK. And for the stroke, I'm going to keep it black right now. So what I want to do, Command 0, hide this. I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to hold Shift and create a rectangle. Actually, that's more of a square now, right? And I can increase the size of the stroke at the top. That kind of thing. And it's up to you how thick you want that stroke. Again, of course, you can make it the same as the border, or that's fine. I have about a 65. Then you can take this piece, move it anywhere you want. You have the option again, Command T. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to place it? You know, how much do you want to stretch it out? That kind of thing. And you can see when I line it up, that little purple line, that guide comes up, so I know it's centered. What I'm going to do with this is copy it 3 times. So all you have to do is go onto the layer and do Command J on your keyboard, or you can hold Option, click and drag. Option, click and drag, like that. This top one, I'm going to actually move that to the top and make it just a little bit larger. So we've created this nice little pattern kind of a thing going on here. I might add even one more of different shapes. But we created them using the shape tools in Photoshop. So you have those 4 rectangles up there. I'm going to go on to them, grab them all, hold shift, click, grab them all, click one, hold shift, grab the last one, right click, and rasterize those layers. And the reason that we're going to do that is I want to take the girl that we have here. I'm going to move her to the very top of the stack, turn her on there, right click on her, create clipping mask, and you see that she is now stuck inside of that top one. And if I change her blending mode, you can see I can get different looks as well. Right? And so as you go through the list, you're going to see all different ones that can really give you a nice or interesting sort of a look. Got that? If you want to keep her inside and have the black line on top, all we'll have to do is go to this one, select the black from here. This is one way of doing it. Right click, layer via copy, and now this is just a black line that could be on top of her. So she still needs to be clipped in, but you see this black line now is the line that's on top. Okay, so this is where things get a little complicated. I mean, you got a lot of pieces going on so far, so you got to really label stuff so you know where things should go. You can take the girl, you can do Command T on her, you can resize her, you can move her up, rotate her. Now there is some room down here where there's like a lot of extra space. So what could you do with this? You could take a brush, choose a color, you could choose the same color as her skin, and you could try to fill this out a little bit at the bottom. Maybe with a smaller brush, maybe continue this down. Right, and I could have done the same thing maybe here, maybe here, just to kind of help that hit the edge. Okay, that was not super clean, but you get the idea. Remember to save as you go. So if I turn everything else back on that we have so far, this is what we're looking at the moment, right? Now, I have another burst, if you remember. There was supposed to, here's the other burst, right? I could take this other burst, move this, let's say, in between her and the rectangle, and then do Command T, resize, resize that one, and move it right there. Hit OK, and now I got this look going. And again, for each layer, it's the same options. What could I do? Bigger, smaller, rotate it, go to blending modes, change the blending mode. See what that looks like. I like that look. That looks pretty good. So we're going to leave that. So you're going to kind of keep going and add the pieces and see what things look like, right? So let's see what else. Pattern fill for the guns. We have all that. That looks pretty good. Okay, in the next video, we're going to add the final steps and some statements to this so it really becomes a political poster.